art, language arts. So Deval talked about 4 areas. So when he and I first met, we talked about he had innovative instruction, curriculum development, educational leadership, and technology. Those were those 4 buckets. He had them in squares on the slides. And one of the things we talked about is when working with school leaders like yourself and the others who we hope will join the workshops, we really want to think not just about managing the school, then setting a schedule, then making sure children are in their classrooms, although those are all really important to high quality learning, but really being instructional leaders. So helping teachers learn how to engage in the most meaningful, thoughtful, and supported instruction. And so when we think about instructional leadership, we want to think about, how do we help instructional leaders support what we call ambitious instruction? Instruction that has very high expectations and goals for children, but it's also meaningful and purposeful, not simply memorization, not simply, taking children through the paces, but engaging them in something that sparks their curiosity, that helps build their intellectual engagement. Because what we know from research is that when children are engaged, they're more motivated. And when they're more motivated, they're able to actually retain information and really dig into ideas and learn in the most thoughtful ways possible. So we talk a lot about project and place-based instruction, where we build projects that meet curricular goals and help children engage in those projects. So they start with a question or a puzzle, something they're interested in, and they work through solving or answering that question or solving that puzzle. And in doing so, they're learning foundational skills like literacy, they're learning science concepts, they're learning mathematics. Now, this work is really powerful. We know from research that it actually improves learning over and above what we might think of as drill and practice, right? Memorization, call and response, answering questions in a classroom. But it's very difficult for teachers. It's really challenging. It is truly ambitious instruction. And so that's what instructional leadership is meant to do. It's really meant to support teachers in being able to engage in that instruction. And in cases where you don't have curricula already developed, to also participate in that curriculum development. Now, another piece that we would emphasize inside this, and I see that Deval has, or maybe Armand popped up the 4 squares. Another piece that we want to think about is how one engages in innovative instruction using really rich curriculum while always recognizing the skills and the assets and the knowledge that children bring to the table. So we want to move away from what we call in the US, based on Paulo Freire's work, banking education, where we take knowledge from our heads and put it into the children's heads. We want to engage them in thinking by building on what they already know. And so that idea of assets-based instruction is also something that we will be thinking about together with participants in these workshops in terms of innovative instruction and rich curriculum. And one of the things that Chris, when he leads the instructional rounds work, will do is actually identify some of the challenges or the questions that teachers and school leaders want to work on together, and watch for those practices in classrooms and think about helping instructional leaders help their teachers improve their practice. So just like we think about children's assets, we also want to think about the assets teachers bring to the classroom. And so it's never about fixing them or evaluating them, but instead really working with teachers to help them take the skills they already have and take them to the next level. And then finally, we do want to talk about technology with you. I think, all know, anybody who watches the news in any form or reads the news in any form knows that we are entering a period of really rapid technology innovation. We've been going through that for the last 100 years or so, but the advances in artificial intelligence really raise questions for us about teaching and learning and what the meaning of teaching and learning is in a world where you can get information very quickly at your fingertips. But is the information accurate? Is it fair? Who is representing these ideas? And so we want to help our colleagues in this session really think about how do we work with artificial intelligence? What can we do to use AI and other technology tools as helpful tools so that they don't simply take over and use us as teachers and instructional leaders? And then I would just say, finally, those are all the things that we have to offer, all the things that, working with Deval, we've agreed that we would bring to the table, that we would talk about. But what I think is most exciting, I think I can speak for my colleagues and then they'll speak for themselves, for us, is learning from all of you and all the people who will be participating. That's why we said we really want to be in schools. We want to work side by side with teachers and instructional leaders. We want to learn about education in India, and we want to take what we learn back to our curriculum at the University of Michigan and at Marsal Family School of Education. We just call it Marsal for short. But we want to be able to enhance our offerings and really help our students learn about education throughout the world. And so we see this as a mutual engagement. We're learning from and with you, even as we're sharing some of the things we know from our work with teachers and children in the United States. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Chris just to say a few more words, I think, about instructional rounds. And then Angie maybe can talk about science education and problem or project and place-based learning. And then we'd love to hear questions from people. Chris?
Thank you, Elizabeth, and good evening, everyone. I'm Chris Torres, and thank you for the introduction earlier, Elizabeth and Deval. I've worked with school leaders on instructional leadership for about 10 years in my capacity as an academic. Before that, I worked as a teacher and in the central office. And I'm super excited to spend time with you all out in India. I've never been, so I'm just incredibly excited to visit and to see schools and meet people. And very excited to be able to introduce instructional rounds. As Deval alluded to, so instructional rounds is a model of school-wide continuous improvement that was started by faculty at the Harvard Graduate School of Education about a decade ago. That really integrates, honors, and grows, as Elizabeth said, the expertise of teachers across the school who are focused on an important problem of practice that is collaboratively identified. And if you're familiar with it's derived from the medical rounds model, which is used routinely in medical schools and teaching hospitals to develop the diagnostic and treatment practice of physicians. So the idea is to observe and discuss evidence for diagnoses. After thorough discussion, they come up with possible treatments. And the medical rounds model is really a way of collaboratively arriving at the correct diagnosis and treatment. And it's the means by which any profession can communicate shared norms and language for professional practice. And it really helps to create and reinforce this culture of professional practice in a field. And so that's the idea behind instructional rounds, is to really collaboratively do this work and to have instructional improvement at scale that is kind of locally identified, and solutions are locally developed to fit the context that you're in. And so we'll be learning about that. And really, instructional rounds is similar in terms of its goals to medical rounds. And it involves 4 steps. First, identifying a problem of practice that is important to focus on across the school. So that's something that I've been working on with school leaders who are going to be hosting us in their spaces very graciously. And then it's followed by observation. So where participants who are in the workshop will be grouped into small groups of about 3 people. And we'll go around and rotate through some classrooms where teachers have agreed to let us come in and observe their classrooms to look for evidence around the problem of practice that's been identified. It's followed by, once we collect evidence from those observations, we debrief for a while about what we were seeing. And that's really where a lot of that discussion takes place, and a lot of the expertise ends up growing is really discussing the evidence that we saw, and kind of having that discussion, right, and that reflection, followed by focusing on the next level of work, which is sort of okay, given what the diagnoses that we've come up with, what do we believe will take this school to the next level in terms of its problem of practice? So Deval talked about how we'll learn about it on that first day. And when on that second day, when we go into schools, you'll essentially be in those groups of 3 people and rotate through 5 or 6 classrooms looking for that evidence. So in a nutshell, that's really what we'll be doing for instructional rounds and sort of why we'll be doing it. But I think the exciting thing about it is that we'll all be able to really learn authentically from each other, with each other. We'll be able to see, spend time in a school and learn from that context. And I think that will be a really authentic experience. So I'm excited for it. And I'll stop there and see if there are any questions or hand it off to the next person, but very excited. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you, Elizabeth. I think that whatever you've said so far is really is extremely helpful for educators to understand in terms of what the expectations are. And I feel like we could definitely take some questions if there are. I know that there were some participants who kind of messaged me saying that they just registered or there was something. So I'm just not sharing my screen for a minute, but I'm just gonna allow maybe if Angie, if you want to just talk for a bit, and then I know Michelle is online as well. So good to see you, Michelle, too. So maybe Angie, you could start first, and then let Michelle also talk, and then we can take questions.
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm Angie Calabrese-Barton. As Dean Elizabeth Bermoji mentioned, I am the chair of Educational Studies, which is our largest program in Marsal. And I'm really excited to participate in the summit. And I'm happy to share with you both all the information I can about our programs in educational studies, including our soon-to-be new online master's program that you might be interested in learning more about. I'm also really excited to share with you my work on place-based learning, in particular in science and engineering contexts, both in and outside of school. And just a little bit more about me, I've been a chemistry teacher, I've been an after-school STEM educator. I actually still teach after school as a way to kind of keep me fresh. And all of my work of the last 2.5 decades has focused on collaborating with youth, with teachers, and with families to collaboratively design for community-based, place-based learning that has all of the aspects that Elizabeth talked about earlier. And I'm particularly interested in those strategies we can use in school settings that help to break down those boundaries between schools and communities. And so just super quick, one of the pieces that I'll be really focusing with all of you on is this idea of place-based learning, and really thinking about how do we design teaching practices, how do we design curriculum that engages students in their communities. including their physical environment, their local culture, the history, and the people, everything that makes that community a really rich and empowering place for young people, but also paying attention to those aspects of community that aren't so empowering. And then how can place-based learning both support the critique and the drawing upon the assets of those spaces? And so with place-based learning, students get to see the results of their work in community in real time. And that really fosters much deeper learning than more abstracted learning by itself. And so through this kind of teaching and learning, students not only build communication and inquiry practices, they learn how to interact with any environment, both in and out of school, and they gain a better understanding of themselves and their place in the world, in addition to the disciplinary knowledge and practices that we care about. So more to come at the summit. I'm very excited to be working with all of you and to meet you and to learn with you on the instructional rounds. Thank you.
And Dhaval, is there time for Michelle to say a few words?
Yeah, I think we can. Yeah.
Great.
I'll be quick. Good evening, everyone. Great to be here. And I think this actually segues really nicely from what Angie was just describing. And thank you, Dean Moji, also for introducing my work, which I think you did really nicely. So my work is situated in the field of global education or comparative and international education. I do a lot of work with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And I study democratic citizenship education and global citizenship formation in various contexts. Most of my work is set in Latin America and East Africa, though I'm really excited to think with you all about how you bring in national and global citizenship knowledge, skills, and orientations in your work, in your schools and communities. I understand that some of you are really intentional about integrating global dimensions in your curriculum and your school orientations. And I'd love to think more with you about how you highlight these elements and what your goals are for them. I'm also excited about the comparative and global education that Dhaval just mentioned on day 3. I see opportunities for us to really think together about points of similarity and contrasts between curriculum and pedagogy and educational structures and policy in India and other contexts. And I'm also an anthropologist, and I have partnerships with schools where I use ethnographic methods to study various issues related to school culture. So I'm excited to think also about these instructional rounds and how careful observations and deep conversations together can support collective thinking about school improvements. So thanks, everyone, and very excited to hear more from you.
Hey, thank you so much, Michelle and Chris and Elizabeth and Angie. I think I'm so excited, just listening to all of this that we're going to be doing across that period of 3 days. Sounds like a lot, right? I was talking to someone, they said this is almost like a year of stuff that we actually do. So I think we're fitting in a lot of stuff in these 3 days. It's going to be really exciting. So I would want to open this up to taking any questions that anyone has at this point. If anyone does and they just want to, either put up their hand or they, just want to type on in the text box, we're open to taking questions either ways.
Dhaval, it looks like Anu has a question.
Yes, I do. It's not really a question. I'm really happy to hear what all of you have said. And you'll be amazed that we are doing a lot of this work in India. And it'll be great, exchange of ideas and how we can make it a better place. And because, I have experience, I did my leadership course in Harvard. And but now I see how much, I hope some of those educators who've done a lot of good work in play education, and when you're talking about spaces, I wish we can have some architects also join us, because now a lot depends on the education scene where you need the The buildings are not the same chalk and talks. So that's all. I'm just excited that you guys are coming and would love to welcome you to India. And thank you.
Thank you so much. So Ms. Monga is a real change maker. She actually works. She's a part of an organization called TICE, and you know, we've collaborated with TICE so that we can reach the message to more schools. And you know, as you can see, we've got a number of leaders here, and you know, I'd be happy if the leaders also want to introduce themselves, or if they have any questions. You know, please feel free to engage and interact. You know, this is the idea that, you know, we would want, you know, more questions coming from you, or a way for you to engage, you know, in this context.
Hello, Dhawal. I'm Deepa Kapoor. I'm principal of Suchitra Academy.
Lovely to have you here, Deepa. Please
And
go
thank
ahead.
you very much for this meet. Just wanted to know about which is the schools that you have identified in Mumbai as well as Delhi for the school visit?
So for the school visit, we have looked at in Mumbai, there are 2 to 3 schools at this point that we've received, you know, interest from. So one is the American School of Mumbai or Bombay. That's one of them. We've also received an interest from JBCN, which is another school, and also Oberoi International. So these are the 3 schools we're looking at in Mumbai. In Delhi, we have the Heritage School, which is in Gurgaon. And that's where we are looking at, you know, currently. So we would probably do this in 2 of the schools, because we're looking at, you know, a CBSE school and also, you know, an international school. And we're looking at all 3 sections, so the primary, the middle school, and the, you know, higher schools. So we're looking at all 3 of them where leaders, and so we will take that input from leaders, and we want to see where, you know, the preference lies, and then accordingly, you know, arrange that.
Sure. Thank you very much. Thanks for the information. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Devika Chatterjee. I'm the Director Principal at JVCN International School. I think Dhawal was talking about JVCN as one of the schools. We offer the international curriculum as well as the national curriculum, both in the north of Mumbai. Very happy to hear about all the wonderful things that are happening in schools across the globe. And it is also heartening to know that a lot of what we believe in is what you are also talking about. It will be wonderful to exchange ideas. It would be wonderful to peep into our classrooms and understand from you what exactly it is that you see when you look through a lens of a global educator. So wonderful to hear from all of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Devika. That was very nice. Anyone else that would like to also introduce themselves or talk?
Hi, so my video is off because I work in Ghaziabad and I'm still on the roads. So if I put on the video, probably I'll lose it. I'm Shalini Nambiar. I'm working as a director principal with St. Anandram Jaipuria School, Ghaziabad. We have 5,000 plus kids, and it's a huge school. And we run the CBSE curriculum, and also we have recently introduced Cambridge. I really enjoyed what you all were talking about. I think that's what every educator is trying to do, you know, bring about globalization and make the children learn the pedagogy, you know, how we can be different. And I think when you spoke about peeping into the classroom, as Devika also spoke, I think it's going to be very interesting. So thank you so much. It was lovely being here. Thank you.
Thank you, Shalini. Wonderful to hear from you as well.
Thank you.
Dhananjay, would you like to talk as well?
Sure. Sorry, my camera is off as well. My name is Dhananjay. I'm the director at the B.D. Somani International School. So we have a legacy of education in Mumbai. We manage 3 schools out here. One is an international curriculum school with the IGCSE and the IB curriculum. The second is the G.D. Somani School, which follows the ICSE curriculum. And the third school is our newest school, which is in Navi Mumbai, which is a satellite city right outside Bombay. And it's a mix, a hybrid of international and national curriculum. And I too am a graduate of the Harvard Graduate School of Education. I just graduated this May. So it's a pleasure to meet all of y'all. And yeah, thank you for the presentation.
Thank you, Dhananjay. Anjana, would you like to talk? I know,
Yeah,
and I'm
sure, I can go
very
ahead.
happy to see you here. Thank you.
Hi,
And
I'm
being a
Anjana.
Michigan alumni, I'm sure you
Yeah.
can understand what I mean.
Hi, I'm Anjana. I am on the board of directors as well as the head of strategic initiatives at the Canadian International School in Bangalore, which is in the southern part of India. I am a U of M alum. I graduated from Ross in 2019. So of course, very excited to be here. And 1,000. Okay, so no, I was just saying that we do a good chunk of professional development with our educators at the Canadian International School, but it would be really nice to sort of share our thoughts, our learnings, as well as learn from everyone over here during the leadership summit and sort of see how we can further develop and further build out professional development across schools in India, not just limited to us.
Absolutely. I completely agree with that, Anjana. Thank you so much. Miss Jumana Gari, would you like to introduce yourself and if you have any questions?
Good evening, Mr. Dhaval and everyone here. Sorry, I've got to keep my camera down. I'm still getting home. But thank you for this very engaging meeting. I think it sets the context for what we, going to look forward to in the last few days of January. It's going to be great to connect with each one of you and learn from all your experiences and also share a couple of things that we do at school. I think it's a great opportunity to come together, learn together, grow together, move together. And I look forward to meeting each one of you in person. I represent Bharati Vidyapeeth Rabindranath Tagore School of Excellence in Pune. I am the principal here and we are a Cambridge school. Currently operational till grade 11 and looking forward to our next batch of grade 12 moving out with flying colors in the next year. And I'm sure meeting up and learning from each one of you is going to strengthen our practices at school. So thank you very much for this forum and pleasure to be with all of you.
Thank you so much. It's nice to have you here. Ms. Nidhi Singh, would you like to introduce yourself and if you have any questions?
Hi, good evening, everyone. Sorry, I'm not in a very pink of my health right now. That's why my camera is off. So I am from Khaitan Public School, Saibabad, and I am heading the preparatory wing there, that is grades 3 to 5. And I feel it is going to be a great learning and discussion opportunity, especially for this age group of children. Because, often we kind of work a lot around the younger years, but and the older years are board years, so they get taken care of. It's often us, the middle and the preparatory, which kind of need more support. So I think that is going to be a great learning in that area. Thanks.
Thank you for that. And I have also put in a form which I would request everyone to just complete and fill in. That would also help us to get all your information as well. Yeah, I would ask Santosh, Mr. Santosh Sethuruman, who's here and we spoke earlier, if you would like to also introduce yourself.
Oh yeah, are you able to hear me clearly?
Yes, absolutely. Please go ahead.
Okay. This is Santosh Seturaman, founder of Neuron Lab School. I've kept my video shut at the moment to maximize on the bandwidth. First and foremost, I would like to welcome the faculty from US to India. You will meet some very friendly people and very curious people to learn a lot. So we welcome you here. And obviously, it will be 3 days full of learning for all of us together. Thank you so much.
So I think, Michelle, you've put something. I wonder if folks have any idea of what they would like to get out of the specific themes identified in the summit. I'd like to prepare my session with my goals in mind. Does anyone have anything else to reply to that? It would be great, because I agree with what Michelle also has to say. Okay. So I have put the application form, or just a form that would give us more information about you as well. If you all can just complete that, I've put that in the box. And I think at this point, if we don't have questions, then I would ideally like to thank each and every one of you all to take your time and for being a part of this. And we look forward to having you attend. There's more information in the form, and if there's anything, you can reach out to me. I think each one of you have my number as well. So in case if there's any questions, you're welcome to even WhatsApp me. And of course, if you can talk to others within the education fraternity about how engaging this is going to be, that would be definitely helpful. Because I know not everyone was able to participate, and we try to send the video across, but it would help if you were able to talk to them. So thank you very much. And Arman and Neeraj from my team are typically in part. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to echo your thanks, though, and say that I think we're really looking forward to this. And if you do have questions, Michelle actually read my mind. I wanted to know if there were other things that you didn't hear us talking about that you would like us to speak to, that we could, I mean, within our areas of expertise. So if you think of things that you want to know or want us to focus on or want us to learn, please let Deval know, and we will do our best to, really try to pull those ideas together so that we can do the best work possible with you.
So right now we can't think of anything, but I think if it is left in the form that is supposed to be filled up, we could add in our points there.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We're really looking forward to it. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye. Thanks for your time.